This is a Sanskrit manuscript from antiquity. When you read the words on pages like this, ones written thousands of years ago, you often get a strange sense of déjà vu. You expect the people in these texts to feel completely distant or foreign. Instead, their grief, their ambitions, and their fears mirror our exact daily struggles. Why do stories pulled from the dust of ancient empires still feel so intensely real to us right now? These texts persist as emotional blueprints, resonating through generations with a relevance that defies their age. Look closely at this stone frieze. It depicts a massive clash of armies, a great battle. This specific motif appears everywhere. Across entirely disconnected cultures, we see the exact same narrative structures: a hero on an arduous journey, an agonizing moral choice, and a world-ending war. Notice the specific details here, like the war elephants and the dense ranks of archers. Ancient India dressed these universal conflicts in highly specific local armor, but the underlying narrative skeleton appears in completely isolated parts of the globe at the exact same time. The complexity of these story arcs, the way they hit the same emotional beats in the same sequence across oceans and millennia, makes random coincidence mathematically improbable. When a pattern this specific emerges independently in civilizations that never spoke, we are looking at a shared psychological inheritance rather than a series of accidents. For decades, anthropologists have pointed to a logical explanation: cultural exchange. The theory is that these myths started from a single ancient root and slowly migrated across physical borders. Here is physical proof of how that slow transmission worked. Generations of storytellers manually copied texts onto palm leaves like these, allowing the narratives to mutate slightly to fit local customs, while holding on to their core shape. But that theory hits a massive wall. We find matching story structures in deeply isolated societies, long before global trade networks or physical migration could have possibly connected them. There are enormous, unexplained gaps in the historical record that physical travel simply cannot account for. The slow, manual trading of oral traditions and carved leaves fails to explain how these repeating patterns became an absolute universal standard for humanity. This is where psychologists step in. They argue that we don't just share stories, we share the same biological wiring. Life is inherently chaotic, full of random events. To survive and process that chaos, the human brain filters raw experience into a structured line. It literally demands a narrative arc of climax and resolution to make sense of the world. We continuously tell the same tales of struggle and growth because our core human emotions have not evolved in millennia. The surface details shift. Swords become lasers, chariots become starships, but the underlying psychological hardware running those stories remains totally intact. Ancient myths are identical across the globe, because the human mind will always produce the exact same narrative output when processing the experience of life. But this leaves us with a deeper question. Do these similarities just prove our brains operate on the same frequency, or do they point to a hidden architecture beneath human existence? This hero embodies a psychological code, a permanent record of the human condition etched into the very fabric of ancient monuments. Recognizing this code forces a shift in perspective. Human history isn't a straight line of constant progress. It behaves much more like a repeating loop of psychological behaviors. Our modern society is actively living inside the exact same emotional loops that our ancestors meticulously documented thousands of years ago. You're watching Untold Indian Stories, where we explore the mysteries that make you question reality. If you enjoy diving into concepts like this, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. So the question remains, why do the stories of antiquity still feel so intimately familiar to us today? If we are still driven by these ancient patterns, what invisible, cyclical loops are we blindly repeating in our modern lives without even realizing it? Ancient mythology acts as the hidden script for our modern world, a set of instructions we carry out every day while convinced we are doing something new.